Welcome back to the City Current Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference and powering the good. And we're honored to be with our next guest, Cheryl No. She's the Executive Director of Project C.U.R.E Nashville. How are you doing, Cheryl?
I'm great this morning. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
So let's start out with a little bit of history and context. Project C.U.R.E, you have Nashville, but it's so much larger than that. So give us a little bit of history and context for Project C.U.R.E.
You bet. It is a fantastic organization. And I've done nonprofit fundraising for about 30 years. And the thing that really drew me to this organization is just the heart of it and the heart of how it started. In 1987, Dr. James Jackson was doing some financial consulting down in Brazil, and his interpreter, through the course of conversation, long story short, they wound up she took him to a clinic, line wrapped around the block. He goes in, meets the doctor. He has a glass front, think old timey curio cabinet, right? And he has maybe some antiseptics and bandages, and that's it. And Dr. Jackson said, how do you treat your patients? And he said, I do a lot of preventative work, and then I just do the best with what I have. Well, it broke his heart. They live in Denver, in Colorado, and have been very successful over their lifetime, and were in a great place in life where they were just very blessed and godly people who it just laid upon their heart. He and his wife looked at each other and said, why are we here? What's our purpose, and what good are we going to do in this world? And so he came back from Brazil, talked to some doctor friends, got $50,000 of donated stuff, put it in a container and shipped it. And that was the genesis of Project C.U.R.E. So since that time, we have gone to 138 countries around the world and shipped millions and millions of dollars of donated medical equipment and supplies that would otherwise not be utilized here, primarily because of technological advances, FDA regulations regarding expiration. There are things that would not be utilized yet in the places where we're going. They save lives. We're sending beds to places where maybe patients are on, think a Coleman camping cot, right? But then all of a sudden they have a bona fide hospital bed, or they might even be on the floor. So, going to places where they rinse out gloves, the disposable gloves that we have, and hang them on a line to reuse them for surgery. So it is a mighty work. And at the end of the day, there is no question that what's going on is saving lives.
Absolutely. Paint the picture of how the model works, because as you mentioned, giving access to medical supplies that might not be used here, now you can use them for countries that have a huge need and becomes life-saving opportunities. Talk about how that model works, because it is medical supplies, but it's so much more in terms of what you do in terms of training and mission trips and even suitcases filled with supplies and things that go beyond even the medical side. So it's a lot that you do. Talk about how the model unfolds and works.
This is so awesome because you have done your homework. This is exciting. It is a comprehensive program, to be sure. And I guess to close the link on your earlier question, founded in Denver, but now there's 7 cities across the U.S. And the one in Nashville was the third one founded, obviously because of our tremendous healthcare community and the roots that we and support that we have here. So Project C.U.R.E, our cargo program is sort of, I guess, our signature program. And that's where we partner with people in country on the ground. They make the request. That's a unique thing about Project C.U.R.E. You'll see disasters happening. We never charge in. We are always invited in by partner groups on the ground, because we learned a long time ago that that's what's going to have the most successful outcome, is if you are working in partnership and you go where you're wanted, right? So we go in and do a needs assessment, which is essentially we want this clinic to be able to have these supplies, but we're going to send a person, or in the age of COVID, we've been doing it virtually, but we're gonna look at the facility. So for instance, we don't want to send you hospital beds that are too big to fit through the door. right? We're not going to give you an x-ray machine that the wall it's supposed to be attached to is not going to bear the weight. Lots of things like that. So that needs assessment is invaluable. From that analysis of the facility, we then look at, and remember, this has been going on since 1987. So our folks in our logistics department in Denver look at that and go, okay, well, they have this number of patients. This is primarily what they address, this population base based on these needs. Here's the list that we suggest. So then that list goes to the partner group. They look at it and say, yeah, but we really need a refrigerator for the lab. Can we add that? We don't need this, take it off. So from that, a list is agreed upon, and it's packed in one of our 7 warehouses and then shipped and goes. And I suppose in brighter times, you were looking at about a 3-month time period to get that to an African country, probably 6 weeks, Central America. All of that's protracted now because of the shipping crisis that we have going on. But we ebb and flow with that. We have a container set to that actually was sourced and funded out of Nashville. That's going to be landing in South Sudan January 20th. And so I do want to share that story because you can talk all day about the metrics and logistics of what we do, but here's the heart of it. This container is going to sponsored by a group called C.U.R.E, which is not the best an acronym, but it's essentially a reconciliation ministry where one of the lost boys of South Sudan walked to Ethiopia. Instead of coming to the US, he went back home to make his village a better place. He created a school, added grade. So now it's a full secondary school, which will be high school for us. One of his boys who went through that is going to graduate medical school in May. And they were able to sponsor a Project C.U.R.E container. We helped them raise the money for that. And that container gets there. Well, when they looked at it, they had a shell, they had a building that they could put it in. But they said, to build what we could really need and could use for forever, it would only cost X amount of dollars, and that was very doable. So the Project C.U.R.E container facilitated the building of a new clinic. And let me stress, women get pregnant in Vietnam, South Sudan. They have to walk 6 hours to Wow, which is the next town that has medical care. And many of those women die on the road on the way there. So now there is this clinic that's going to be sort of in this care desert, right, where you've got 6 hours anyway. But the beautiful thing is that this village is a place where before James put the school in, girls were traded for cattle, right? I mean, girls are just property in their culture. And he made the decision, we're going to educate girls beside boys. And so that's been going on now, and he's changing the world. But then this clinic that was built because of the Project C.U.R.E container is called the A-Chick Women's Clinic, and A-Chick in their language means creator God. So beautiful story about how just fundamentally this part of the world is going to be changed because of what Project C.U.R.E has provided. So it's a good, yeah.
And it also shows the relationship of what we can do locally to impact change globally. And so having an ownership, a stake in that opportunity to create life transformation is a powerful piece of this, because I think many people struggle with, how do I create change locally, but also how do I do it at a larger scale and impact other countries and other cultures? And this is exactly what you're talking about, is here's an opportunity to do that through obviously a local organization, a local touch point, but creating global change.
Well, and in a way that's feasible. Like it feels very intimidating when you say, so if you were to back into that scenario a different way and go, you know what, we need to build a women's clinic there because there's no care in 6 hours anyway. Let's do that. That feels huge, right? But to come in kind of from the route that we did, it's a lot of hands building in together, many hands make for light work. But also what you referenced earlier, our Cure Kits program, that's a bag where it's going to be $2,500 worth of supplies. life-giving supplies that are hard to come by. It weighs 50 pounds, like bona fide scientifically. You can check this bag without having to pay, right? And so if you're traveling, you can take that and we can facilitate a C.U.R.E partner meeting you at the airport and taking that. And so that's tremendous. Then also our C.U.R.E clinics, we're very big on, we have two programs particularly that are close to my heart. One is Helping Babies Breathe, which addresses the golden moment. Well, it's a lot. It's essentially teaching women who then go out to their villages to teach other women, because infant mortality and mothers dying in childbirth is a huge issue. But we're teaching, and I've learned, all right, I've learned about the golden moment, which is the 60 seconds after a baby is born. And there are easy things that you can do that you just have to know to do them, but that increases survival rates exponentially. So there's that. And then there's other clinic, like we will take clinic trips where we actually go and equip places. So there's a lot of ways to jump in as a person, but then there's also a lot of ways to band in together. I will tell you that my work goal or hope and dream for 2022, I know that Nashville is so blessed because we have such tremendous churches here, and those churches are doing mighty things around the world, and to be able to partner with someone who is going on a mission trip anyway, and people will say, well, we're raising money, we're gonna buy $25,000 worth of supplies and take it with us and take it to the clinic. How much more effective to take that $25,000, sponsor a container project? You can't tuck an ICU bed in your pocket and take with you, right? You can't take a centrifuge or blood pressure machine or an IV machine, a warmer for infants, to use your money in that. And then you meet the container on your group meets the container on the other end, and you set up the clinic so I yearn to be able to tell that story to our tremendous churches in this area, because I feel like that is a collaborative partnership where everyone wins.
Well, that's the beauty of coming on this show is all of a sudden, speaking it into existence and getting the word out. Carry that forward, because obviously that's one tremendous way to help, but how else can we help? How can we as the community help your efforts?
Yeah, we have a fantastic ambassador board. And like any board, it's constantly moving and turning, and people leave and people come. I would love anyone who this sort of strikes a chord with them to contact me. I'll meet them at the warehouse, because here's the deal. And you can tell a lot of stories, and you can tell them with words, and it's powerful. I promise you, I've never given a tour in 2 years where, like, the front area, it's a warehouse. It's a 60,000 square foot warehouse. The front area is conditioned so people can work in there. But beyond that plastic curtain, you walk in. I've never given a single tour where people didn't walk in and go, "What? Wow, okay, I had no idea." So I encourage anyone who this is remotely interesting to contact me, and we can go and do a tour, because there's nothing quite so powerful as seeing it. I've heard people walk in and go, "Wow, this is like a medical supply Home Depot." Like, yes, that's a good analogy.
Well, and like you said, the secret sauce is being able to have those relationships in place where you can get the things that they need, but to be invited in, like you said, you're not having to reinvent the wheel or kind of go in that direction. They're saying, here's what we need. You're getting access to those opportunities. And then it's a matter of connecting the dots and all the logistics work in between, which is a tremendous amount of work.
Yes.
That's where the real magic comes in, is the relationships, the logistics, and then being able to pull in, knowing that you have this opportunity to truly transform and save lives. Carry that forward into just contact information, website, your email. Where would you direct everyone to go and learn more, and obviously reach out to you to take that tour?
Yeah, projectcure.org. And if you go on there, there's a specific page for the Nashville warehouse. And my phone number is 615-483-1985. My email is cherylno@projectcured.org. So easy. Contact me either one of those ways. But if you lose that, it's all on the website too. And yeah, being able to schedule, or I'll come talk to a Sunday school class. I'll come talk to a mission, committee, anything to share it, because once you hear the story, if you're involved in that missional space and you're affecting change, to hear the power of what we can do collaboratively to flank your efforts, it speaks for itself. So yeah, I will come anywhere and anytime to tell our story.
You'll make it happen. Well, Cheryl, thank you for all you and your amazing team do. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity.